Hello, and welcome to Calming the Chaos. I'm Tracy Canella, licensed mental health counselor at Lokahi Counseling. Today we are interviewing Laura Vaillancourt, who works with elders in our community of Olympia, Washington, and offers them and their caregivers resources. And I interview her with the utmost respect and pleasure. And so here is the interview. Thank you for listening. We are here with Laura Vaillancourt, and she is the owner and founder of Eldercare Counseling and Guidance Services. She is a licensed mental health counselor in Olympia, Washington, and she helps families navigate, plan, and she guides them through the healthcare system for elders. And she helps them make decisions and provides counseling, care, and consultations to them. Welcome, Laura, to Calming the Chaos. This is a video version and also an audio version, so you are a groundbreaker for me, and thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yeah, and so we have just been talking. Actually, Laura and I are really good buddies, and we started out in this journey together probably 3 or 4 years ago, something like that, when we were just inundated with clients and wanted to know what we would do to refer out and meet the needs of the community in Olympia. And then we became mastermind buddies together and started to manifest our dreams. And oh my goodness, now we're here.
Here we are.
Here we are. And I think both of us are going through a fair amount of chaos being mental health counselors in a time like this. And Laura, I've just been talking to about her own particular chaotic situation that she has. And you know, I just wanted to be able to have you share a little bit with the counselors and other people out there what you are going through and how you are managing this.
Oh, thanks, Tracy. Yeah, it's not often we get invited to just talk about our own chaos as therapists. And I imagine that I'm not alone either. Everything I'm sure that I'm going to talk about is very much relatable to probably a lot of small business owners or group practice owners or individual therapists or, you know, folks that are just trying to get by through these times. But yeah, so for me, you gave such a great introduction. My specialty is working with the aging population. And so I have clients that I see that are older adults. Many of my clients are older adults, and so they are living in situations right now that are definitely, they're being impacted tremendously. The other big population of folks that I work with are caregivers. So they're family members that are caring for an aging loved one. And boy, you know, as you can imagine, people that are caring for someone they love and now suddenly are being limited in their ability to access those loved ones, or they are, for lack of a better word, stuck at home and can't get out. And so they're needing to be caring for their loved one, and they are feeling more isolated as far as accessing outside support. So as a professional that serves both of these populations, my team has been really, our hands have been really tied in being able to access folks and make sure they're getting the support they need, especially during a time like this.
So yeah, what I think what I'm imagining in my mind anyway is that you are working with both a caregiver and an elder who may not be able to go out and get basic needs met, and there's resources that you can provide them with to help. Is that what you do?
So normally, when we're not in this crisis, yes, my team provides counseling. So we are there to support folks emotionally. Again, whether you're a caregiver caring for someone else in your home, or you're a caregiver from a distance, or you have a loved one living in a facility, we're there providing counseling for those individuals, as well as providing counseling to the older adult who's going through often so much change and loss and transition. But then I have a team. So my business also provides care management services. And so I have a team that really acts, I like to think of it as being someone's private social worker, somebody like a surrogate family member, someone that's there to hold your hand and walk you through the decision making and implementing services that you may need, and educating about certain diagnoses or medications, or so there's a lot of different things that comes with the world of working in the aging population. And then the third thing that I really do a lot of is just consulting. I have families that are lost. They don't know where to turn. They have nobody's an expert in how to grow old or what we need to do to prepare for that. So I do a lot of consulting. So I'll meet with families one-on-one, and we can really zero in on what their particular issues are, and they can walk away with some really clear next steps and some really good education about what to do and how to move forward. So yeah.
Well, and so that's on a normal day, or
That's
in
on a normal day.
time.
Yeah.
How has your practice changed since this whole COVID-19 stuff has happened?
Well, as everyone knows, this kind of happened. It feels like overnight, the speed in which all of this has taken effect. And then we also know that, in Seattle, Washington is kind of where those first cases were found, and they were found in a skilled nursing facility. And so, you add on top of that the most vulnerable population is our older adults, or those with immune problems, and so they're immune compromised. So right off the bat, as we again all know, the facilities and hospitals really took major precautions, to protect their loved ones. And one of the things that is one of the most heartbreaking things about all of this really is that our aging population already combats isolation and loneliness, whether it's because that population has lost loved ones because of their aging or disease, but they also have significant amount of loss in their physical abilities, whether that's their vision or their ability to walk, or their hands may not work well enough to utilize technology or call people. And so, or your memory is compromised. And so there's so many layers and layers of loss and challenges that contribute to the isolation of this population. So what we've seen is, in our community's attempt to protect our most vulnerable, they are also being really put at risk of having that emotional sort of that backlash of the isolation. So for many of the facilities that my clients live in, they are not allowed to eat together, have activities together, socialize. There's been different stages, and every facility has their own rules and regulations that they're following, which is changing sometimes by the hour, as you can imagine. But they, some facilities really are, the older adults are living in their apartment and not seeing anyone. And it's so troubling. In the memory care facilities, it's even more of a concern, because we know that people that have dementia or memory impairment really do not do well with change at all. And so it's crucial to keep someone's routine regular. So those facilities, really everybody is doing the best job that they can. There's no criticism at all to how this is happening. It's just the reality of protecting our aging folks against this exposure to this disease versus, or to this virus versus the downfall is that we're increasing that sense of isolation and decreasing their ability to connect with family members and friends and have their regular routine with things. So it's just been heartbreaking. And then the flip side is the caregivers and family members are feeling so at a loss on how to support their loved one. They're not allowed to go in and see them. They're not allowed to have the regular visits and be their advocate in the facility. And so there's a lot of helplessness and isolation going on for both sides of that.
Yeah. How do you help the caregivers to deal with that? Because they're the ones you could probably have the more, if there is somebody who is on lockdown and they're not able to see their loved ones, their caregivers, they're in a facility and they're not able to receive visitors. How do you work with that? Because it's all about loss. What I heard is it's all about loss. It's about loss on a bunch of levels. There was already loss to begin with, and now there's further loss or further chaos and change for the people who have dementia. But how do you help those people who are caregivers who are feeling very helpless right now?
Oh, yes, that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
And so, this is a situation that not many of us have, none of us have control over the external situation, but we do have control over how we react to that and how we choose to work with that and how we choose to look at it. So I guess one main thing is to really just remember that that there are areas that we can control. So I think that people tend to feel helpless and hopeless when they don't feel that there's a sense of control, in their lives or the outcome of the situation. And so one of the main things that I think, that I've been encouraging a lot of my clients to do is to really reframe this situation. Again, we know that we can't change what's happening, but we can absolutely change, or we can absolutely control how we think about it. Mm-hmm. So when we reframe something, we accept that what is, and we're choosing to look at it in a different light. So I encourage my family members to consider what might be the benefit of a situation like this. And we're able to brainstorm sometimes the beauty of the amazing professional caregivers that are providing the care in the facility, and the opportunity for those caregivers to really, and I've heard this just firsthand, from a lot of these professional care providers, what a bonding experience this has been for them and their patients. We talk about reframing in the sense of that as a family member and a professional caregiver are all part of a care team. And so seeing yourself as a family member as part of the team can be helpful too. It can help a caregiver not feel like they're so isolated in being the only advocate for their loved one. And so some family members have brought care packages to the facility for the professionals, and oh man, that goes over so well. These professionals that are struggling with their own personal lives, and the kids are out of school and they're juggling childcare and their work, and so yeah, reframing I think is a really important piece of this work.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of, and weren't we talking about silver linings to certain situations? So there's with the dark clouds, every dark cloud has a silver lining. So the silver linings to all of this could be that the staff is going to be acting as more of a family member, because the family members and caregivers can't get into the facilities. And
Yeah.
are most of the facilities able to accept, like I was thinking, like a handwritten note or a
Mhm.
letter, just something that I guess I remember when my husband was going through basic training in the Army, we used to send letters every day or care packages. And I don't know if those are allowed directly from caregivers to facilities so that they
Mhm.
can give them to loved ones.
Yeah, yeah, actually, of course, a big part of surviving this is to stay connected, right? We know that isolation is happening physically, but we don't want people to feel isolated socially, non-physically, I guess. Um, and there are ways to do that, and like your idea is wonderful. And a lot of people in our community, our lovely community of Olympia, Washington, have volunteered and are donating handwritten notes and letters and cards. And so absolutely those things can be taken to the facilities. What they typically do is they sanitize them, they'll spray them down with their sanitizing sprays and let them sit for a period of time before they bring them in. But yeah, those things are appreciated. Another helpful thing is having using technology when able. Um, I know that there's a facility in town that went out and bought all of their residents iPads
Hmm.
so that they could communicate with family members, which is unbelievable. I mean, that's going way above and beyond, and it was just a neat thing to hear. But they're helping the residents install Zoom or FaceTime and letting family members know about that. Another thing that I'm doing is we are able, because of technology, we're able to offer some of the groups that I would normally do. We're launching them online as well, so that some of the support groups in the facilities that I run, we're going to join on Zoom as a group together. So each older adult will be in their room, but they'll feel connected and part of the community. And then some of the family support groups as well. They're not able to get in to see their family members, but we are still able to have our support group online and feel connected and talk about, the challenges.
Wow. Yeah, I was wondering about the technology piece with the older and the elderly
Yeah,
and how they could maneuver through that if they don't have any idea, maybe even what an iPad is or how to use it.
right.
So that's where the staff comes in, I believe, probably just
Yeah,
getting them all set up
yep.
so that they can see
And
everybody, all their buddies.
it's so fun, Tracy. I got to tell you, like, I have several 90-plus-year-olds that are so tech savvy. They have their iPhone, they have their apps, they have their games. Clients that text and then there are some in their 60s that are, people that are shy away from technology. And so really, it's been a real reminder to me that everybody is at a different place, a comfort level with technology. And the beauty is our technology is becoming simpler, really, more user friendly.
The caregivers manage the chaos of having a loved one in a facility where they can't get to or visit directly because they're locked down. Do you find that enlisting some of these techniques and these tools and reframing and these
Mhm.
apps and such, these support systems, do you find that it lowers their chaos or their anxiety levels?
Yeah, the nice thing is, so I came up with this list of 5 things that you can do to um, stay sane,
I
if you
saw
will.
that. I
Did
saw
you see
that
that?
on Facebook and I liked it. It was very
Yeah.
cool. And it's just a one pager and it was very professionally done, by the way, with
Oh,
graphics and
thank you.
yeah,
It's
I was
amazing
pretty
what you could do
impressed.
when you have time on your hands.
I think that's what you said. You
Yes.
said on your post and I loved it actually.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of those things that are on that
Yeah.
beautiful list that you created.
So I created it. Initially, it was after we did a Facebook Live in our Get in the Lifeboat group. And lots of people had such great ideas, and other professionals that I had talked to about their clients and how they were coping. So I tried to just kind of pull all these ideas into these kind of 5 main categories. But the 5, and we've talked about a couple of them, out of the 5, the first one is routine. And so, we are all creatures of habit. As individuals, we just do better when we have a schedule or there's stability. It can bring us a peace of mind when we have structure. And so, and of course, again, I work with the aging population. And so what happens as people age, especially if their memory is impaired, is that routine and structure is even more important. And so during times of chaos, for any of us, maintaining a sense of routine and structure is going to be key. And then the second one we talked about already is to stay connected. And which is so ironic in this time because so many people are being isolated. So we are being challenged as individuals to reach out and get creative in the ways that we are connected. So here's an interesting thought that's really been up in my mind. When I first started in this line of work, many years ago, one of the things that really hit me when I was working at a skilled nursing facility was the amount of isolation and loneliness that my clients felt. You can be surrounded by people and feel isolated. And you can be surrounded by others and things to do, but not feel connected. And so I think that this is an opportunity for all of us to not have the physical people or things around us, but it's allowing us to reach out and connect in ways that we're not used to physically. Mm-hmm. So staying connected is that second thing. The third one was reframing, and we talked about that, just reframing the situation. An important piece also is limiting your exposure to the negativity, like the news, being really self-aware. So that would be the fourth one, is to listen to your inner guidance, listen to your inner self, start to pay attention to when you're feeling overwhelmed, respect your limits, and pay attention to what your personal cues are. You want to catch something before you start to spiral down that chaos, anxiety or fear, or so if you can catch that, if you're listening to yourself, you can often catch that sooner and then be really respectful about taking a break or changing your self-talk. And then the last piece was setting an intention. So I love the idea of ritual and changing your mindset. And so when we are intentional about our own self-care, and this is a beautiful opportunity for all of us to change the way that we've been doing things, and really taking a step back and looking at what's healthy and what isn't, and what do we want to go back to, what do we want to welcome back into our lives, and what don't we? But I like the idea of even just the small rituals that you can do, like every time you step into a new room, every time I go into the bathroom and shut the door, I take a deep breath. It's just sort of this reset moment. And so these are opportunities for all of that.
Right. You can take several breaths while you're washing your hands for 20 seconds as well, right? Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. And I see a lot of comedians and comedy coming out of this. I know that my own husband made a YouTube video just about maybe two minutes long about how to use a single sheet of toilet paper.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I saw it.
You saw it? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's a good sport. I love it.
Yeah. Well, he's been doing that for years, but then we just decided to, in this crisis of toilet paper apocalypse, we decided to go ahead and put that on YouTube for everybody to see. And Well, gosh, I just love that you are so positive in this time. And just even though you are working probably with the most affected populations, the people who have loved ones who are the most vulnerable to this condition, who may be struggling with it, or they can't see their loved ones because of the facility lockdown, and you're giving them a Facebook group. I didn't know about the Get in the Lifeboat group. You did a Facebook Live. And you are going to also be launching your podcast very soon, it sounds like, right? Life on Repeat?
Life on Repeat, yep.
Yeah, would you like to go ahead and give some information about not only your practice, but your Facebook group and life? I don't know if it's an open group or what, but and your podcast, and just plug away, my dear, because we want people to have these resources, especially in these times where now we have time, right? We have time to listen.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. Well, I'm just so passionate about this work, and being someone that has been impacted by dementia and over the years, it has really led me to having such a heart for people that are caring for their loved ones that have dementia. So that's really kind of my unique niche specialty. So a friend of mine, Lisa, she's a geropsychologist in Florida. We started a Facebook group really because our intention was to launch a summit. We wanted to do an online summit for dementia caregivers. And we wanted to do it online because so many caregivers do not have the luxury of being able to leave their home. And we wanted them to access it at any time of the day or night, in their PJs, whenever. So we recruited 25 dementia experts from across the country, and they recorded a presentation, and then we interviewed them after their presentation. And so we launched it on Facebook, a private Facebook group. It went so well, and this community of people are just amazing. I love every one of them. And so we decided to keep this Facebook group up and live, and we decided to keep the presentations up in there in the units tab. So anybody can join that group. If you are caring for a loved one, please consider checking us out. It's just a lovely, supportive community. It's called Get in the Lifeboat. So from that, I love listening to podcasts. I love your podcast, Tracy.
Thank you.
And I've always wanted to start a podcast. So my dream right now is to start a podcast for dementia caregivers. And I'm early on, so it hasn't launched yet. I'm hoping it will launch in the next month or two. It's called Life on Repeat, and it will be a dementia caregiver podcast, and it will feature professionals that I will interview. It will feature caregivers themselves talking about their experiences, and we will share education and resources and emotional support and self-care. I'm just really thrilled about it. So yeah. And then I am available for consultations and consulting across state lines, so anywhere in the country. And you can find my website at eldercarecounselor.com, and you can book a session. We can have a Zoom video session, or we can have a meeting over the phone, but I'm here to help guide folks.
And Laura, you're just such a sweet person. I just have to say, just knowing you for the brief, I guess, relatively brief time since we've been on this planet, for, I don't want to even say, but, just the brief time that we've known each other, you're just such a lovely human being, very helpful, very supportive. And I think in the first moments where I met you was in your office, and you were trying to help us figure things out as far as how we were going to run our practices. We didn't have to pay you. You were doing it just from the goodness of your heart. And I know that is the work that you do with others, your clients, and just in general, the community. I just really want to thank you for all the wonderful work that you do in our community and beyond. Apparently, consulting can go worldwide, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you for being on today, and take care. Don't you have